with your girl Adeola. Let's start with a quick update on the Russia-Ukrainian war, and then we'll talk about how stranded Africans in Ukraine can get help, or if you're stranded at a border. Russia is now using banned cluster munitions against civilians. A shopping center in Kharkiv was bombed on Monday, killing dozens and wounding hundreds. Amnesty said that similar bombs were used to destroy a school, leaving 3 people dead. The death toll so far is estimated to be above 350, with more than 100 of them being civilians. And then there are reports that Putin is likely to start resorting to using heavier weapons to turn the tide of war. In fact, some people are saying that he may resort into nuclear weapons. In the meantime, both parties are meeting for a talk. Ukrainian President Zelensky has signed a request for Ukraine to join the European Union. Also, the US has cut off the Russian central bank. As a matter of fact, the US, the EU, Switzerland, New Zealand, the UK, Taiwan, and so on and so forth have all sanctioned Russia in one way or the other. Even China has distanced itself from the invasion of Ukraine. There are videos of Russians right now lining up to get their money at their banks because their currency has been crashing since the war started, and the interest rate in Russia has gone up from like 9.5% to 20%. Their central bank is now preparing for hyperinflation. From the start of this war, so many Russians have been protesting it. Many of them have been arrested in Russia. FIFA has kicked Russia out of the World Cup, and as a matter of fact, it's not just FIFA. Various organizations are cutting Russia out of international competitions. Internet hackers known as the Anonymous, you guys are probably familiar with them. They have taken down several Russian news websites. These are news websites that are censored by the Russian government. They've taken them down, and now they are posting anti-Putin messages. Even Pornhub blocked Russia, and when people try to load the Pornhubs, all they see now is Ukrainian flag. Also, you can still watch Netflix in Russia, but Netflix is no longer airing like Russian propaganda videos on their platform. So that's a summary of the update in terms of this ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, I'd like to thank everybody that has been of help to Africans that are stranded in Ukraine, trying to make it out safely, especially the international students. African leaders, wow, like you guys are not even trying. Like you didn't even try. Like some African countries have been tweeting how their citizens can get help, but I just wish that they evacuated people before it escalated to a full-blown war, or maybe the first day of the war. Yes, I'm aware that some Africans didn't want to leave, thinking that it won't be this bad or it's going to get better very soon. But even if it's the first day of this war, our governments could have done something. Nigerian government, for example, at first said that Nigerians in Ukraine should protect themselves. How can people protect themselves in war? How does that make sense? How do you protect yourself from bombs? Seriously, Nigerian government, you guys need to be thinking before you say something. So it's like you are insulting our intelligence. Later, they said that they made arrangements to fly people out of Ukraine, and then they said, oh, it's too late. They can't fly people out. People should just find their way to neighboring countries. I'm like, shoo, what a shame. And then I was shocked that the defense minister in South Africa said that, well, South Africa has not received any request for assistance to evacuate citizens from Ukraine. I'm like, shoo, you want them to write you a letter? We are requesting. Seriously, regular people are doing more than our governments combined. I'm so happy to see that Zimbabwean government, even though they didn't make arrangements for their citizens to leave on time, they said that they will pay the return ticket for their citizens to come back home. That's a good thing. Did you guys see how India evacuated its own citizens? Officials even went on the plane after they landed to address these people, to welcome them back and reunite them with their family members. Why can't we do something like that? You know, I've interviewed regular people in Ukraine like Tolulope Osho, as well as Niger wifey, who is originally from Poland. Her husband is Nigerian. Both of them, these people, they've been arranging for transportation, they've been arranging for cash for people because, you know, banks are closed, so that people can leave these war zones to get to borders safely. One of the people that we spoke with, by the way, is Dr. Kalu. He helped more than 200 Africans, mostly students, in Ukraine to get to a border safely. He refused to leave even though it wasn't safe where he was. He said he wanted to make sure that the students leave first. These people are doing more than our government. Tolu turned his apartment into a shelter, taking people in. Niger wifey is arranging for buses, constantly updating people on her Instagram page. Why do we have governments is what I don't understand. And then this restaurant owner was serving food to people for free until herself and her family had to flee as well. And you know, huge shout out to the Redeemed Church in Poland. People have been saying, during the interview, people were saying that Redeemed Church is taking Africans in, taking care of them, Ukraine. Thank you guys. How we treat people is more important than what we preach. Amen, somebody. Thank you so much to the Redeemed Church. Huge shout out to Redeemed Church in Slovakia as well. People are saying that they're taking Africans in. Thank you so much, guys. And as a matter of fact, people are saying that Redeemed Churches in other neighboring countries as well, we're ready to take people in. I saw so many videos of people stranded asking for help.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside, we've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. And it's really, really so sad. Like people have been crying, people fainted. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
Please, if you're still stranded in Ukraine or at any of the borders, we heard that the Hungarian, the Slovakian, as well as the Romanian borders are more friendly towards Africans. People are having no issues getting through those borders, and some borders in Poland as well. Please consider this unless you're too far from these borders. Also, if you're going to Poland and you're trying to know which borders you should go to, once again, please follow Niger Wife Instagram page. She's been posting constantly about the borders that are safe for you to go to, and she's making arrangement for buses to take people to these borders, and she's constantly updating people. Also, please check the Twitter page of your country's government as well as your country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Please check their Twitter pages for updates in case of help from the government. For example, on Monday, Nigerian embassy in Hungary arranged for a bus to take people, and we so much appreciate that. Like, I know it was days after this whole thing started, but at least they did something, and we just want to commend them for that. We want them to do more, but at least they provided a bus to take the students and other people that were stranded to safety, to take them to a hotel. I'm so happy that when they made the arrangement for this bus, people that were not Nigerians also got on the bus. We saw Indians and so on, and apparently a Nigerian official came and said, no, this bus is just for Nigerians, and I believe that the people on the bus were like, no, we are all in this together. Brings me to the next point about how people have been facing racism. If we are condemning people for being racist towards us, we can do the same thing to others. So we're all in this together. We all have the same blood inside us. I'm glad that those Indians that they stayed, those people from other countries that they stayed on that bus. Over the weekend, we spoke with some of the people that made it safely to Poland. These two guys, one of them a Nigerian, the other person from South Africa. They said that they trekked. They walked for 5 hours to get to a Poland border. And then, of course, Africans are facing racial discrimination, like I said, as they are fleeing from the war zone. Some of them were not allowed to get on the train in Ukraine as they were trying to go into Poland. Some of them were dragged out of the train. We saw women, we saw children not allowed on the train. Some Africans were not allowed to cross the border when they got to some parts of Poland. Police were telling them to go back. Some African students said that their international passports were seized from them at the borders and that they were there for days and they were not allowed to enter and they were seeking for help. You know, it really breaks my heart when I started seeing all this. But you know what broke my heart the more was seeing some Africans thinking that this is okay. I've seen so many comments online, people that were like, well, they have to take care of their own people, so it's a normal thing. Why are these Nigerians complaining? Just complain to your government. That doesn't make it right. We're all human beings. They can take care of their own citizens, but you should not prevent foreigners from getting to safety. There's no need pointing the guns at them. It's just not okay for us to be treated like we are not human beings in foreign countries simply because of the color of our skin. And you know, I really, really hope that this will be a wake-up call for us, Africans, not just for our government, but for regular people. If you're trying to study abroad, please be mindful of the country that you go to. There's racism everywhere. You know, if something like that happens in the US as well, that is when you will know people that are racist. But you know, some countries have more tolerance. Also, please read a lot about a country before you move there to study or to work. There has been tension between Russia and Ukraine for a long time. Like, this thing has been... It's been going on for a long time. Like in 2014, for example, after the Ukrainian former president Viktor was ousted, Russia claimed part of Ukraine in the east, Crimea, saying that it's part of their land. So this thing has been going on for a long time. So please make sure that you do a research, extensive research about a country before you go there to study or to work. Now, in terms of global impact, already what's happening in Ukraine has increased the price of fuel around the world. Both Ukraine and Russia produce oil and gas. Russia is the world's second second largest producer of natural gas and one of the world's largest oil producing nations. And so since the war started, 1 barrel of petrol has jumped to more than $100. This is the first time since like 2014 or 2013, I don't remember. Many people have been asking, how come African leaders are not condemning the war? How come they are not saying anything, you know? Well, first of all, we don't have a say when it comes to global affairs, okay? Because Africa has refused to get its act together. That's just a personal opinion. I believe that's why we don't have a say. As a matter of fact, when some African leaders finally spoke up, their citizens disassociated themselves from their leaders that were condemning what's happening in Ukraine. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen this tweet. If you're following me on Instagram, I've been sharing it. These are some South Africans disassociating themselves from their government when their government condemned what was happening in Ukraine. So the story is that South Africa calls on Russia to immediately withdraw its troops from Ukraine. This is what South Africans said in response. They were like, which South Africa? Can you delete this? And say Naledi and her friends. That's the name of the official that made the announcement. They were like, just say you and your friend. Don't say South Africans, you know. Anyway, someone else said, we as South Africans would like to distance ourselves from Cyril Ramaphosa, that's their president, and Naledi's statement. That's the woman. This is not funny. It's so sad actually, but people were disassociating themselves from their government because they believe that their governments have no say. We actually don't even like the guy. If it wasn't for 1 billion rand donation from Rupert, we love Russians. We even eat them. Wow, wow, wow. So it's so funny to see how people were disassociating themselves from their officials when they condemned Russia. And then of course there are some African countries that are depending on Russia. And not just that, some countries are expecting Russia to come and help them. We've talked about that on this show, like Burkina Faso, countries where they're kicking out French troops. They're hoping and expecting Russian troops to come and help them in Africa. So there are some African countries that are really dependent on Russia, which is why their leaders cannot really say much. Now, one very important thing for us Africans to learn from this is the fact that Africa really needs good leaders that actually care about its own people. It is very shameful that several decades after independence, we still can't even do anything on our own without the help of our colonizers. We're constantly running back to them, borrowing money from them, and so on. We don't even treat our own citizens right, which makes it hard for others to treat us right. Part of this racism is because they know that our leaders don't treat us right anyways. So I beg of us Africans that are preparing for elections in various countries, let's make it count. Let's vote for the right people. Your life, your survival, and that of the future generation depends on this. And once again, if you know anybody that is stranded and needs help, please tell them to follow Naija.wifey, follow Tolulope Osho, and follow the updates from your government on Twitter. And of course, we're also tweeting and posting about this. I've been posting a lot on my Instagram page as well. You guys not know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Before I sign out, please click the thumbs up button if you like this video. Please share it. We just want to keep this about what's happening in Ukraine. Also, if you're yet to subscribe, please subscribe so that you know when we're going live again, because we've been interviewing people about what's happening in Ukraine. And the previous videos that we've done over the weekend, we'll put the link in the description if you want to watch them, because we spoke with some of the people that are in Ukraine. All right, y'all, it's been Ray, and I'm keeping it right up in here. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, press the subscribe button and the bell button. Until next time, I will see you all later. Peace out.